He has been the rock-solid drummer for Jason Aldean since the beginning 27 years ago. During that time, he has recorded the drum tracks on all 32 of Aldean's #1 songs. Rich Redmond on that and more in this episode of Drum Heads and Tails. Rich Redmond, welcome to Drum Heads and Tails.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is great. Love this. Beautiful.
So you're a busy guy. It says on your website you're a drummer, public speaker, actor, author, and you also have a podcast that I know of. How do you get the time?
Everyone's got a podcast, right? I mean, it's like if you don't have a podcast, you're like, what is wrong with you? But you know, really, I'm a drummer. When I wake up in the morning, I mean, that's like my purpose in life. I've been doing this. Actually, I am celebrating 50 years this year of playing the drums. I started in 1976 when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, and I fell in love with it, man. It has just been a real gift. You know, when I talk to kids, I'm like, what do you want to do with your life? And most of them, they really have no idea. They have some interests. I say, well, I like video games, or I like playing sports. I'm like, you realize that you can do those things for the rest of your life? You just got to take the appropriate steps and get up every day out of bed and get better at it. And so for me, it was just, when you fall in love with something, it's easy to get good at it because you want to keep showing up.
Right.
But then, you know, along the way, you know, this is such a, you know, the entertainment industry. I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm in the education racket, you know. It's a great way to affect people, and through my journeys I've been able to say, like, hey, what are some of my other God-given talents? And it's like, I got the gift of gab, so give me the microphone. I was on the yearbook staff and in the journalism club, so I was like, I could write, you know, and Jeff Bezos makes it so easy for you to write a book nowadays, right? And then the tools of entry to be in new media are right there, and they're so affordable. So I just kind of jump in head first. Always wanted to, be on a sitcom. That is not practical for me because you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a live studio audience shows up on Friday. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I auditioned to be on The Young and the Restless, and I don't know how many drummers have walked through the Carol Burnett entryway on the corner of Fairfax in Los Angeles, walk through that door, and you know, they liked me.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do? Quit my job playing the drums? I'm a drummer first and foremost that does other fun things.
Got it.
Yeah.
So how long have you been the drummer for Jason Aldean, and how did the two of you guys get together?
27 years.
Wow.
I'm going to get my watch. The funny thing is that I don't think you know, careers are so funny. You know, you want to do this, and then you want to stay there as long as possible. Jason's star, it just continues to rise, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. They're going to start building this building right during our interview right across the street right now. Anyways, we met organically. You know, I've been playing with these same guys in his band for 27 years. His guitar player, Kurt Allison, we actually been playing together since 97. So what's the math? That's almost 30 years. So I was playing with Kurt in his dad's band. Kurt, along the way, met Tully, our bass player. Tully was in charge of putting a band together for a young up-and-coming singer-songwriter named Jason Aldean, who was signed to a publishing deal with Warner Chappell. Kurt championed me and said, oh, you need a drummer? Look nowhere else. I got the guy. So then, of course, the publisher books a room at SIR Studios in Nashville. Wanted to see let's see what this Rich guy is all about. Boom, I walk in, I learned the 5 songs. We hit it off personally, professionally. We became fast friends, all of us, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Let's back up a little bit. Who were some of your early drummer influences?
Stuart Copeland, and I'm so excited because Stuart is kind of like on a one-man show / book tour right now.
He just came to Maine.
And did you go see him?
I couldn't. We had a gig.
So he's doing a lot of city wineries. So we have a city winery in Nashville, and it's just the right size. You know, you go, you get your flatbread, a little glass of wine. I'm going to watch Stuart do his thing. And then at the end, it's a small enough place that I'm going to be able to probably knock on the backstage door and go, Mr. Copeland. And it's also a great time because I just flew up to Drumeo and did the Stuart Copeland Challenge. And I'll be able to say, hey, man, did you ever see my Stuart Copeland Challenge? And I'll be able to pull it up on my phone. Who knows? But anyways, I loved the Police. So I fell in love with them. And, of course, when they came out with the Synchronicity record, also 1984, Alex Van Halen. I mean, that was a great time to be coming up in music because there was new wave and there was metal, you know, and I just soaked it all up. And then I learned about, you know, the Holy Grail guys, you know, your Ringos and your Gene Krupas and your Buddy Riches. And there was this great guy named Kenny Aronoff that had this job with this John Mellencamp. And two of my Desert Island records are Scarecrow by John Mellencamp and The Lonesome Jubilee. And little did I know when I was listening to those on cassette and soaking up the vernacular, Kenny's vernacular, that it would manifest so importantly years later for me, because that was kind of like a look into the future of what Nashville would be. Big, giant drums and crunchy guitars, but also fun, folk instruments like harpsichords and organs and fiddles and all that kind of stuff. So, but John was way ahead. He was 10 years ahead of it.
Yeah.
He was. The critics were like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And he's like, "Watch." And so he was always one of my favorite artists. But I've never seen a bad drummer. If I go see a drummer, I'm gonna find something that I could take from them to put into my bag of tricks. And so I it's just a mutual admiration society. I love drummers, man.
Cool.
Drive if you want to, good don't you got it. Lead a roll on to the town. Baby, if you'd rather, give her a hand on my big green tractor.
Drummers.
So you went on to the University of North Texas State, is that right?
Yeah, it used to be called North Texas State University when Greg Bissonette and Steve Houghton and Ray Brinker and all those cats went there. Then it became the University of North Texas. Now, I went there to get my master's degree. I told you I'm an overeducated rock drummer. But my first university I went to was Texas Tech University, which is in Lubbock, Texas. And there's nothing to do in Lubbock, Texas, but practice. And boy, did I studied with a great gentleman named Alan Shin. We lost him a couple years, God rest his soul. But he was such a believer in me and a supporter of me. And he provided this opportunity for me to, like, every day for 4.5 years, be in the symphonic band and the marching band and the jazz combo and the jazz and the steel drum band and the new, like, I played music all day, every day, for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was your first big break after school?
Let's see. When I moved to Nashville, moved on in February of 1997, started playing all around town. 2 years in, I got a gig with Pam Tillis, Mel Tillis' daughter, and she was kind of like a pop country matinee idol in the 80s and the early 90s, and it was great. It was the first time. I had played with some other folks before her, but this was my first gig where you are the full-time drummer. I had a drum tech. We had 3 solid meals a day. I had a salary. It was like, whoa, I made it. You know, it was cool.
Was that before or after Kent Slucher?
Kent came right after me.
Did he?
Yeah. That's what we do in Nashville. We kind of like, there's these rite of passage gigs, and we all kind of like pass the baton to each other, and we get to share stories. It's fun, you know.
Now, I interviewed Luke Combs' drummer, Jake Summers, who I believe did a great job at networking.
Yes.
But he worked his way up to the gig. But now I think you did an awesome job as well. How important is networking when you're trying to make it?
Well, it's funny. It's one of those words. Like, you get some people that are like, oh, that is despicable. I hate that word. Of course, it's a tried and true business buzzword, but there's so many ways you can go about it. If you're showing up, like, I'm a social animal. Like, I am a very outgoing person. I never met a stranger. That is a gift from God in the entertainment industry because it is such a people person business. You could have a great website, you could be on LinkedIn, you could be doing all the things you're supposed to do, but you know, you got to get out in the flesh and shake hands and crash parties and let people know you exist. And I, you know, kind of Jake knew that early on, and you know, God, this guy named Luke Combs just championed him, said, hey man, I got a good feeling about you. I don't know what it is, I haven't even heard you play, but you know, here's 5 songs, come back and let me hear you bang that bongo. And then he grew the relationship. And what's so cool about living in the modern era is that you can, by year 3, 4, or 5 of your career, be selling out stadiums. Now with Jason, we didn't have the technology. We had MySpace, we had flip phones, we had the CMT message boards, we had AOL, You've Got Mail. I mean, it was like so early on. So we had to go take the music to the people, 5, 6 shows a week, you know, college dive bars, opening up for everything. What I'm saying is it took us a lot longer.
Yeah.
You know, and the trajectory was always upward, but I mean, Jake went bam, 5 years. I mean, in 2018 they opened for us.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at 10 years later. I'm like, how many shows you doing this year? 12, and they're all like 80,000 seaters, and he's
Right.
flying on a private jet. And I'm like, kid, you did it.
Yeah.
Great job.
So you play less.
And now Jake, I would say, is the exception to the rule. That is not really how it works. How it works is one handshake at a time, one opportunity. You take that opportunity, you knock that opportunity out of the ballpark. Someone start. It's a very word of mouth business.
Yeah.
You know,
I told him he got there
he got there fast,
in an unusual way.
and he appreciates it. You know, that's a big thing. Is
Yeah.
humility and gratitude. No matter how successful you are really great things to own and to lean into, because I mean, I could walk into a room, there's going to be better drummers than me, but I'm going to over-prepare. I'm going to be the first one there, going to be the last one there, and I'm going to be present, and I'm going to give my blood, my sweat, my tears, and not everybody's willing to do that,
Yeah.
you know?
So I've seen you play before, and you hit your drums and cymbals really hard. You break a lot of shit.
No, it's so funny is that with Aldean, it's kind of like I'm a Japanese anime character. Like I just kind of like turn it up, you know. I think at heart I'm a rock and roll drummer. You know, I'm an overeducated rock drummer because I have played so many different kinds of music, like 20th century avant-garde music, the music of Frank Zappa. I've played music in languages that I didn't speak. I just love music. For his job, it's about the larger-than-life presence. As my wife says, there's a show going on within the show. And there's the certain people will come to the show going, I love to watch Rich, and which is great. I always make friends with the camera person because they, like, I'll give them $100 at the beginning of the year. Hey, my mom's coming to the show, you know, and then I might find my way up there, right? Not really, but it's just, no, I use very strict, well-disciplined classical technique that you would use on a timpani. And I think that's why I'm still doing this now I'm in my later 50s, because I'm playing the instrument correctly.
Yeah.
You know.
I believe you played on all of Jason's hit songs, but are there any other artist big songs that you play drums on that we should know?
Yeah, actually, if you go to Spotify, I think it's public. If it's not public, you go to richredmond.com. My Spotify discography is on there, so it's hundreds and hundreds of songs. So I think our body of work with Jason is, I think we have around, I don't know, maybe 180 songs or something. Yes, I got to play on all those. So grateful for that. For a while, I had a production company with 2 of the guys in the band. We had a company called New Voice Entertainment, and we got a lot of record deals for people, and just sweated blood, gave them 20-hour days. There was this group called Thompson Square. Mm-hmm. We produced 2 of their records, and I played on 2 number ones for them. There was a group called Parmalee. They have multiple number ones. We got them their record deal. I coached the drummer to play on that album. So I'm also a drum coach, and then I also played a lot of tambourine and shaker. I play a lot of tambourine and shaker on a lot of hit records.
Yeah.
So yeah, just go to the discography. But any day in the studio is a great day, man. You know, I love my studio tan.
Did you play on Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts?
No, that was Lonnie Wilson. But
You're credited somewhere for that.
Hey.
You went to school with Jim Riley, right?
I went to school with Jim Riley.
You should show him that because it says you played.
Hey man, I'll take it, and maybe that shows up in my AFM SAG after a yearly check. I don't know, but in 2020, the Rascal Flatts did like a duets record, and they had all their friends come in and sing a song. So we did. I forget what song we did. I forget what the name of it. It'll come to me. Fast Cars and Freedom.
Okay.
So we redid Fast Cars and Freedom on that record in 2020. So that was fun. Yeah.
You went to school with Jim Riley from
Yes.
Rascal Flatts, and also Keith Carlock.
So I was
your class, right?
So when I was at Texas Tech, Jim Riley was at UNT. And then when I went to UNT to go get my master's, Jim Riley was kicking around. And he was playing in the Dallas-Fort Worth scene, which I will say has a very robust music scene, all different types of music, because you got that North Texas environment and it bleeds into Dallas.
I bet.
But yeah, no, I was at school with Keith Carlock, Ari Honig, who's an insanely talented New York City bebop jazz drummer, recording artist, a guy named Luke Adams, who went on to be an LA session drummer, a guy named Blair Cinta, who went on to be Alanis Morissette's drummer and now is a robust session career out there. So it was a really good time to be at North Texas State, and we would just be in those practice rooms. They'd come to lock up the practice rooms at midnight, and we would all stop playing at 11:59, and then they would lock up the practice rooms, and then at 12:01, bam, we would all start practicing again until like 6 in the morning, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
Because we can encourage each other and we can steal from each other.
Yeah.
And when I heard Keith Carlock play, I was like, man, I feel like I'm probably just going to be I don't know if I have as much to say on this instrument. This guy is crushing. He is going to change. And he did. He's
amazing.
When I met him, he sounded like a combination of Weckl, Vinny, and Dennis Chambers. It was like slick, tight funk, and then he had the feet of Pantera. And then he went to New York and he got rid of the double pedal and totally changed his whole approach and got the K cymbals and stuff. And so it immediately started evolving when he got to New York.
He's here next week with Toto.
Oh, fantastic.
So when you go into a studio and you hear a song, maybe you heard the demos on it.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind as you approach recording a song for the first time?
Well, in Nashville, it's the hot seat. It's always the hot seat in any city, but especially in Nashville because we have just such a system down. I get drum sounds at 9:15 a.m. The band starts walking in at 9:40, 9:45. Coffee is flowing. They pass out that first piece of paper, the number chart. You're looking at it. Then they play a demo for you, and I'm immediately thinking, okay, here's the tempo. Is there going to be a loop? Am I going to overdub percussion? Does it need a tight snare drum, a flubby snare drum? What's the vibe on this? How close to the demo are they? Do they have demoitis? A lot of people have demoitis because they listen to a song for 6 months. They go, I can't wait to record this song, and they get really addicted to all the kick drum patterns, the exact fills, and that's where I tell my students, hey, reading music really pays off because even though we're reading this Nashville number system and you have to paint your own Mona Lisa, there's no directions, they might be very addicted to me doing those exact fills, and I can write them out. You know, so that's a big cornerstone of my teaching philosophy is reading traditional Western notation. Thank God I've got that in my back pocket. But the idea is to just execute as quickly as possible. It's a combination of the head and the heart and your passion, and you got to be able to read the room. Luckily with Aldean, it's like we have the same cast of characters at the same studio with the same producer and the same engineer, so it's this beautiful family-like love fest, and there's really no instructions. It's like we hear the demo, I go in there, we do our thing. After the first take, the producer, Michael Knox, goes, Rich, I think you got it. And I was like, great, but it actually helps the whole band sometimes. If they want to go again, I'll be a team player and I'll say, instead of them tracking to this, the drums in their cans, there's something about the energy in the room. I was like, no, let's do it again. We'll do the whole thing again. But we have never, ever done more than 3 takes on any Jason Aldean song. Ever. Because the songs, we're not patting ourselves on the back. It's just that these songs are coming from the greatest songwriters in the world, in the songwriting capital of the world, that have been totally cast for him. Like, the greatest casting directors are getting this material to Jason.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it practically plays itself, because then I wouldn't be giving us enough credit, but they're really good songs.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I've seen you play, and what would you say to a drum purist who says that all that twirling and whirling around
Yeah.
is not real drumming?
Oh, it's definitely real, because I don't do anything that would ever sacrifices me missing a part or being inconsistent. So I'm not the guy that's gonna whip his stick off the floor tom and try to catch it. You know, my friend Brian Tishy, flawless, does it every time. He's got the whole thing down. And I don't twirl in between my fingers. I just do the Carmine Appice fake twirl. But 20 rows back, it looks like God himself is twirling his... I'm an entertainer, man. You know, these people, you can't give them that much credit. They are hearing with their eyes. So, seeing I'm such a wallflower, I just... You know, I want to give him something to remember. So, I don't know. I love it. I just get into his zone.
I get it.
You know what I mean? I don't overdo it. I don't
No,
do.
you don't.
I twirl my sticks in the studio, man. People are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, man, it helps the energy and the vibe. Whatever we got to do to get this track."
So you played the big stadiums, the CMAs, the Grammys, Saturday Night Live.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And countless other big gigs with Jason. What do you think has been the biggest thrill for you to play thus far?
Man, it's well, every gig I am grateful for. You know, when they hey kid, here's your PDF for the year. You know, this is, are you kidding me? Like, I'm excited. This is my year. It's all laid out for me. I know how much money I'm gonna make, where I'm gonna be, and at this point, 20 years in, I got friends in every city. Oh, it's amazing. But the big ones were Madison Square Garden twice, Red Rocks 2 nights. The Gorge several times, Hollywood Bowl. Now, I lived part-time in Los Angeles for a while, and every 4th of July, I go to the Hollywood Bowl, I watch the fireworks, and I actually lived in that little neighborhood back there. I rented a place. So the fact that we played there on that same stage, that Hendrix, the Beatles, everyone, that was a big one for me, man. I really like that. And then, of course, in 2015, we did a double tour with Kenny Chesney, and we got to do all the giant NFL stadiums. So, you know, the Rose Bowl and Levi's Stadium in San Francisco and Lambeau Field, and it's like, what? This is amazing. But the Hollywood Bowl, and we are overdue to hit that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Name a recording that you're the most proud of that you played with Jason on. And maybe one that you played on with somebody else.
Yeah, great question. I celebrate the entire catalog, but I see, man. I mean, he's got, at this point, he's up to 32 #1 songs.
Really?
And there's been 50 singles that have hit country radio. And the show is 24 songs. So you start to do the math. We're like leaving like 8 #1 songs on the table. But that's a great question, man. I guess just the hits. You know, when I hear something on the, like, you know, I'll be shopping for avocados and I'll hear Dirt Road Anthem, or I'll be in an elevator somewhere, or I'll be at Walgreens picking up my prescription and Dirt Road Anthem will come on or something. I'm like, that's cool, you know. Yeah. There was a song by Thompson Square that was the #1 most. It was the most played country single of the year. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was watching you record your drum part in the studio with Jason, and the song was called "Got What I Got." And watching you Some drummers might think, I could play that a lot better, because you played very simplistically,
Yes.
but it was very powerful. Can you elaborate on how sometimes playing less is more?
Yes.
On the track?
Well, less is more, and look at how popular Kiss is. Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, they're laughing all the way to the bank. No, when I was in college, I played the most difficult music I'm probably ever going to play in my life in college. If you're playing the Black Page 1 and 2, or Mo and Herb's Vacation, or Strictly Gentile, stuff that your friend Vinny got to play every night, or I'm playing in avant-garde music and 2116 with shifting time signatures, and you're playing in big bands. I played in the 1 O'Clock Jazz Band in North Texas State, and we had a big book like this, and we were a professional working band. So we never had a set list. So we literally would set up, there'd be a paying audience, and Neil Slater, our director, would be like, pull up the chart 2112. You pull it up, and it's a samba in 5/4, and you're reading it in front of a paid. So by the time I got to Nashville, and you're playing 3 chords in the truth, and you're telling stories of what's happening in between New York and LA, right? For the common man, and it's set to huge backbeats. It's like, if you can kick 17 guys in the ass, you can play in a 5-piece rock band. But there's a discipline that comes from, what's the groove? Do I have the discipline to maintain a kick drum pattern? Are my fills in the appropriate spots, and are they in the appropriate vernacular, in the right genre? Can I choose the colors on my drums, whether I'm playing a tight hat or a loose hat, or maybe a different sonic variation like riding a rim or a floor tom, or do I go to the body of the ride or the bell of the ride? When do I ride on a crash cymbal? Should I avoid the china? Yeah, in the studio, no china, it's always an ozone. But making these decisions and then having the discipline to execute these things, that's where the real, that's how I earn my gig every night. My gig is not about jazz improvisation. It's about execution. And my friend Steve Bowman, he played with the Counting Crows. He's the original drummer in the Counting Crows. And he says, Rich always tells your students this: a live drummer plays a song 1,000th times like they're playing it for the first time. And a studio drummer plays something for the first time like they've played it 1,000 times. So, meaning when you go into the studio, you may only have 45 minutes to cut a track, but you have to make it sound like you are so comfortable with that thing. You wrote it, recorded it already, went on tour, brought the music to the people. It's in your DNA. And then when you hear me play Hicktown tonight, it'll be for the 10,000th time. But the challenge is to present it to the audience like, this is the first time you're witnessing me playing this. There's a childlike joy that comes from that. So I like both of those things, you know. But playing simple is not simple.
Well said.
Looks great, Johnny.
That's your kid, huh?
Yeah, now he's got to dry it off. It's crazy, this weather. Usually we're here, it's great weather, but so he'll dry them off, put the cymbals up, then we'll do a quick sound check and be ready to melt some faces.
Your bass player, Tully,
Yeah.
says you helped him with his time by showing him how to play slightly behind the beat. Can you describe playing behind the beat to someone?
I think what Tully means by that is that he had the piss and vinegar of a young man who wanted to go out there and just push, like, we're a rock band, let's go, so there was a and I was like, hey man, in Nashville it's all about locking to a specific BPM and maintaining that BPM for 3.5 minutes. And I'm 5 years older than Tully, so I had a little bit more experience in the world playing in different types of music to tell him, hey man, you're like too far, you come back here with me. And when you hear I want to hear right?
You play with a click?
Every touring country artist plays with a click,
Yeah.
except for the likes of maybe a Chris Stapleton type, where he kicks off the songs and it might have to have more of an organic flow. Now the reason why we do it is, and I don't mind, and this is actually for like most popular music at the highest level, if there's video content, if there's gags, if there's tricks, things are being synced, I've got to play Hicktown at 1:23 every night, no matter what. And it helps the consistency of not only the musicians, the video people, and then there's a contract. Live Nation says, hey, we want you to come in at 90 minutes. And so if you are locking to the same BPMs every night, it just helps everything.
Yeah.
And especially if you treat it like a member of a band. I treat the click track, which we use a shaker sound, which is very musical. It's not like ank, ank, ank. It's like, whoa, that would get so old. But we just have a shaker. And so it literally just sounds like Luis Conte is in the band with us, you know? So I love it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song you're going to be playing tonight?
Oh, hey, this new one that we have, Don't Tell On Me. It's right now, it's in its second week multi-number one. I'm really happy for the songwriters, Kurt and Tully. They wrote the song with some friends of ours. I tell them, man, that's like AC/DC meets the Cars. And it's just got that driving down the middle, boom, schmack, heavy eighths on the hi-hat. That's like, if I get out of bed in the morning, that's kind of like my wheelhouse. I love that, you know, Hurts So Good, Back in Black, Cashmere. It's in my DNA. In a past life, maybe I was, I don't know, a British rock drummer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your career has been going on a while, but if you could change one thing in the path to here, what would it be?
Well, I think it's the gratitude and humility shows up again. You know, I realized that I wasn't going to have this career in El Paso, Lubbock, Dallas, Connecticut. I had to go to the watering hole. You got to go to New York, LA, or Nashville. I chose Nashville. For the first couple of years, did I make the right decision? I don't know. My friends are doing so well in New York and Los Angeles. But I stuck it out, and I met this fresh-faced guy named Jason and his band and all the people. There's just so much loyalty in that camp, and that just doesn't exist in most parts of this business. So I'm just really happy. But that was one of my goals. My goal says, I am not stopping until I meet my Bono, my Sting, my Mellencamp, my Steve Earle, my Elton John, my Billy Joel. I am not going to stop. And so if it wasn't Jason, it was going to be somebody else, because I am a stubborn SOB. But I showed up. I kept showing up. The gods smiled on me with a consistent gig. And in the gaps around that, I took it upon myself to not let moss grow on me. You know, I became an educator, and I put out books, and I started a podcast, and I lived in Los Angeles at great expense, and I studied acting and TV hosting and cartoon voiceover, and I just like putting myself out there and trying different things, you know. So if I had to do it all over again, I don't know. I think it worked out perfectly, and we all have our own kind of little path that we're supposed to be on, you know.
Yep. There's this great picture. I don't know if you might even send it out on Instagram or something, of you sitting down and looking at a big arena and looking up. And I heard that you go up into the back nosebleed section and check it out.
Yeah, if we go to a large venue like a football stadium, I will, and I'm afraid of heights, but I'll walk up there because I know that that's where my energy has to reach. My energy has to go to the cheap seats, and that's where the, you know, the over animation and the Japanese anime thing comes from, and being an entertainer and trying to reach into those people's souls and let them, hey, I'm back here too, man. I'm working my butt off. I burn 1,000 calories every 90 minutes, you know. So yeah, I like to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you have a warm-up routine before a show?
Yeah, I get on my pad, and anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, I do big singles, doubles, paradiddles, basically page one of the George Lawrence Stone book, and then I'll go through, you know, flams, drags, flam accents, Swiss triplets, accent grids, diddle grids, you know, because I was in the marching band for 8 years. I never did DCI, so I experienced the 13 rudiments, the 26 rudiments, the 40-something rudiments, and I stopped somewhere a little bit after 40. But now the crazy kids are playing like 90-something hybrid rudiments are crazy. It's what Greg Bissonette and I call the get you fired rudiments, because as long as you can play strong singles and doubles, you know, a strong live from Hollywood, you got control there. You got your double stroke roll. I call it my say hello to my little friend roll. And then you got a mean flam, and then you have control over accents and unaccented notes, and that's where most drummers fail. They don't spend enough time working on the difference between a full stroke and a tap, and having the control between those two things. So I focus on a lot of that, and by the time I get out there, man, I am ready to. And I do a full body stretch as well. You know, in my old age, I follow all sorts of fitness influencers and mobility influencers on Instagram, and so I'm learning new tricks all the time. And you know, we're all just trying to stay glued together. You know, I mean, my cymbals came down, so I don't want to have rotator problems. I got the mesh in there. I got the meniscus repair. You know, I've got this tennis elbow. Something. You do what you got to do, man. You know, you stretch. I got a Theragun. I get sports massages. I hydrate. I supplement. I watch all the things that go in my body. Sometimes I'm watching a giant slice of pizza go in my body. But I'm Italian, so that's how we express love, is eating, and then I just work out extra hard.
Yep.
You know.
Here, put your educator hat on for a second. Why, for young people, why is learning to read important?
Learning to read is the cornerstone.
Music.
Learning to read music is the cornerstone. Now, there's exceptions to the rule. Look at Dave Grohl. He changed rock and roll not one time, 2 times. He will tell you, I play by feel. Fantastic. He's the exception to the rule. But if a young person learns the values of quarters, eighths, triplets, sixteenths, the related rests, puts it all together, they start to see what music looks like written on a paper. They go, wow, this is... And I teach students all the time that have been playing 30 years professionally, but they don't read a lick. And when I take them through the Ted Reed book, the light bulb starts going off, and they go bum 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 bum. Oh, that's bum 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 blop da 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 da. They're like, oh my God, it blows their mind. So there's no way I could have achieved what I've achieved in the music business by not reading music. Wouldn't have been able to get my master's degree. Wouldn't be able to play in the big bands. Wouldn't be able to learn 60 songs in 12 hours before I had to get on a bus with somebody, because you get those calls. Hey, drummer's sick. Can you learn 60 songs by tomorrow? The bus leaves at 10 a.m. You say yes, and you stay up all night and you write your charts out. Charting has been like, when you see Greg Bissonette play with Ringo, he's got a little chart book right there. I would rather play a show flawlessly and have a little chart there than be all proud and be like, nope, got it memorized. Dude, I just want to nail it. And if that means I got to have a little chart, we're doing a video shoot for the new single on Tuesday. And I got a mime to the exact drum part that I recorded 6 months ago. So you better believe I'm going to have a little cheat chart there. And I'll just kind of be able to look down, bum, 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 bum. Okay, don't forget the because the camera might be on you right when the...
And they're going to use audio from
they're
the
going to use.
recording.
So you got to... All the award shows, we have done 1 million award shows where we mime. You know, the old Dick Clark thing where the drums are stuffed. There's 2 cymbals that are glued together. You got to really muscle them to make them look like they're moving, like the old Star Search days, right? And that camera's on you. The camera's always going to be on you on the part when you're like, right? And it's like you got to hit the at the exact spot. No one has ever called me the next day, you were miming, weren't you? They're always like, you guys sounded great. And that was like, we did our job.
Yeah.
I nailed every hi-hat opening, every cymbal crash, and that comes from learning to read music.
Yep. So you're in Jason's band. Do you consider it a backup? Are you? The reason I asked
Oh, a backup band?
Yeah.
The
Supporting band.
You know what we are sidemen. I mean, it's if you look up a definition of sideman, a sideman is anyone who's playing in a band where we're not signed to a record deal, his name is on the marquee, and you get paid a salary to be on that bus and play no matter what. If you've got explosive diarrhea or you're jet lagged or whatever, you got to be there.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I mean, I'm a sideman at the highest level.
So how
I like
much room is there for you and the other guys in the band to kind of stretch a little bit during the songs and during the show?
Stretching. Like I said, it's not an improv type job. We kind of set it and forget it in the sense that we'll rehearse at the beginning of the year. will set the set list, and the set list will remain the same the entire year unless a new single comes out, and we'll take a song out and put the new single in. And then there's my chart, boom, until I get it in my DNA. It's like right there, taped to my hi-hat stand. But there's not a lot of stretching. I mean, in the early days, the band had a different personality. We were kind of like a motorcycle gang with our cuffed skinny jeans and our wallet chains, and Aldean would give me a 3-minute open drum solo, and I would start going to the land of Carmine Appice and who was the drummer with Grand Funk? Don Brewer. Yeah, so I learned all about doing what makes an arena rock drum solo work. You better get some quarter notes going on that kick drum. You better stand up and get people clapping. You better hit those cymbals with your hands. It was always great. Always had a great time. But now we're at a point where we're just a human jukebox. We go out there as extreme entertainers. We play the hits people want to hear. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm looking forward to the show tonight.
Yeah.
Rich, I thank you very much
Thanks
for
for
taking
having
the
me.
time
Appreciate you, man.
to do this.
I think this is great. Thanks for having me.
See the city party in 14 bars. Bottles of in and